Guys, what's going on? What's going on? It's Somer del Piso. We're going to be here talking about the Bible yet again. We're going to talk about the books that are not necessarily found in the regular Bible that we all know, with the chapters of John, Corinthians, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, Kings, Chronicles, Luke, so on and so forth. So these are part of the apocryphal texts. I hope I said that correctly. So these are either books that were removed from the Bible or books that were found after the assembly of the chapters in the Bible. This one is going to be a very, very interesting read. So I hope you guys are ready for this. So like, comment, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So what we're going to talk about is basically the 12 patriarchs chapter. So the 12 patriarchs is a reference to the sons of Jacob, the sons of Israel, Jacob's second name, the name that was given to him by God. And this is concerning the firstborn son of the tribe of Israel, Reuben. We all know who he is. The thing is with Reuben is that like David, like King Solomon after him, and like many other people before these guys, they've committed sexual sin, which cursed their bloodline, which cursed their offspring. So we're going to talk about the Testament of Reuben concerning thoughts. That's the name of this particular book. It's going to be a little bit of a long read, so stick with me. Basically, Reuben is on his deathbed, and like Solomon, with his inspiration behind writing the Proverbs, Reuben is now going to talk to us about what we should worry about when trying to stay focused sexually and trying to avoid the catalyst of committing sexual sin, which leads to a whole bunch of other horrors, as I always say in my other videos, analyzing semen retention and the breaking of that in a negative way. So let's get right into it. First book, first line. The copy of the Testament Reuben, what things he tried. Well, let's give you guys, first of all, we're going to give you guys a little feedback. I already gave you guys a history lesson on Reuben, right? He committed sin, and the grand sin that he committed, Reuben, was he slept with his father's concubine. And in Deuteronomy, God told Moses to tell the children of Israel to never ever commit a sin as atrocious as that, especially within the tiers of sexual sin. I don't know, the children of Israel are just inclined to do sin and just make God incredibly angry all the time. What's with them? These guys are directly blessed by the Almighty, and they still find some way to do wrong. I don't understand them. When he was sick 2 years after the death of Joseph, his sons and his sons' sons were gathered together to visit him. And he said to them, "Listen, my children, I am dying, and go to the way of my fathers." And when he saw there Judah and Gad and Asher, all various children of Israel, Jacob, his brethren, he said to them, "Raise me up, my brethren, that I may tell to my brethren and to my children what things I have hidden in my heart, for from henceforth my strength faileth me." Oh boy. I'm telling you, when you commit sin, you are entering a world where you are liable for every single negative action that happens to you. You get some sort of sickness. Remember, due to the vibrational change, due to mixing of a negative partner, through sexual sin, your reality will change completely different. This is what Reuben is at the end of. He's at the end of his life, and now he's trying to talk to his sons and his sons, direct sons, what has happened and why it happened and how they could avoid such things. And he arose and kissed them and said, weeping, begging, as King Solomon did in Proverbs, "Hear, my brethren, give ear to Reuben your father, what things I command you. And behold, I call to witness against you this day, the God of heaven, that ye walk." Now we're about to get deep. Now we're about to get very, very detailed. "That ye walk not in the ignorance of youth." I said this already on many other videos in my channel, guys. Sexual sin is a very, very horrible. It's the apex, the vertex of sins that can be committed in this world, because that leads to all the other sins, the validation of committing the other sins, because it's the ultimate pleasure. Once the ultimate pleasure is felt, you try to validate to yourself, in no matter what action committed, why you should perpetuate that feeling, right? That's why it's dangerous. This is why our forefathers in the Bible warned us about this stuff. Let's keep going. And in youth, when you are young, you believe that you know everything. You think that you understand life, that you are completely wise and incredibly knowledgeable, when in reality you are not. You are a young man, young woman, well, more young men, because I'm talking to young men in this channel. You are a young man that has fallen upon the same vicissitudes of fate as the people before us, the Lemurians, the Atlanteans. Young men in those cultures all went through the same processes, the same thoughts. You are not special. You are only living in the contemporary age. Let's continue this. So youth and fornication, wherein I ran greedily, and I defiled the bed of Jacob my father. So now he's admitting the sins that he committed that is leading him to his weakened state. For I tell you that he smote me, right? When the Bible says smote, it doesn't mean like present meaning of like, oh, you were smote, right? Like as if you were cut down. That means you were inflicted with. Let's continue. With a sore plague in my loins for 7 months. So I talked about this in a couple earlier videos. When there is anything that has to do with the loins that is described in the Bible, it means when you're talking about girding the loins, that means you are being sexually continent, you're being celibate. If you have an affliction of the loins, it means that you have not been celibate, right? You have not been continent. And had not Jacob our father prayed for me to the Lord, surely the Lord would have destroyed me. For I was 30 years old when I did this evil in the sight of the Lord, and for 7 months I was sick even unto death, and I repented for 7 years in the set purpose of my soul before the Lord. These guys don't learn, the children of Israel. What happened to Reuben? Reuben died obviously before the emergence of King David, and then of course the emergence of King Solomon, who also committed sexual sins. It's like these guys really do not learn. They just don't learn at all. It's in their bloodline. It's funny that Reuben specified the age that he started committing this sexual sin. Well, he committed the ultimate sin, which is sleeping with his father's wife, one of his wives. 30 years old. At 30 years old, of course, it's 5 years past the peak of testosterone production in males and maturity in males. So you are, you're sort of feeling, very, very powerful. You're feeling very, very licentious. And if you don't have the right guidance, you will definitely fall into the drain. You will definitely fall into the gutter and, fall down the line of the children of Israel, the direct descendants. Let's keep going, man. We got a lot to talk about here, guys. Let's keep going. Wine and strong drink I drank not. Like I said, if you're not sober, what are you doing in this life? Me, sober 8 years, no drink, no alcohol, no drugs, nothing. We are just completely clean and trying to directly experience the phenomena of the physical reality. And flesh entered not into my mouth, and I tasted not pleasant food, mourning over my sin, for it was great, and it shall not be so be done in Israel, right? For the rest of his line, the rest of his kin. It's interesting because Daniel, we talked about this in the previous video. Daniel did the same thing. He abstained from good meats, alcohol, all that stuff in order to directly receive the blessings and the prophetic images and narrative from the Almighty to talk to the children of Israel, because they were just wayward. I really like the testament of Reuben because it says a lot of very, very powerful things pertaining to the metaphysics behind sexual union. And now hear me, my children, what things I saw in my repentance concerning the 7 spirits of error. Everything's always in 7 concerning the Bible. 7 spirits are given against man from Beliar. Beliar is a reference to Hades, right? Hades is a reference to Satan. Satan is a reference to the devil. We know who this being is. And they are the chief works of youth, and 7 spirits are given to him at his creation, that in them should be done every work of man. The first spirit is of life, with which man's whole being is created. The second spirit is of sight, with which it's very hard, with which ariseth desire. The third spirit is of hearing, with which cometh teaching. The fourth spirit is of smelling, with which taste is given to draw air and breath. The fifth spirit is of speech, with cometh knowledge, right? He's talking about the sequence and the order in which one sort of acclimates to the things of this world in order to obtain the knowledge and the intelligence and the lessons thereof, right? The sixth spirit is of taste, with which cometh the eating of meats and drinks, and by them strength is produced. Of course, only physical strength in this world. For in food is the foundation of strength. The seventh spirit is of begetting and sexual intercourse, with which through love of pleasure sin also entereth in. Wherefore it is the last in order of creation, and the first of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, which leadeth the young as a blind man to a pit, and as a cattle to a precipice. I said this, guys, I said this. This is the issue. As we mature in this world from a little wee lad, or a little wee lassie, until, a mature individual, a teenager, or young adult, whichever you want to call them, you are going through these various spirits, the need to speak in order to say things and then receive knowledge in response to what you are asking or what you're saying, ultimately ending in the final spirit, which is the spirit of fornication. And as a young person, we're in an abundance of these feelings. And of course, the parents of this contemporary day and age do not really understand the Bible or understand we don't even need to understand the Bible sorely. I mean, it's been talked about in the Bhagavad Gita, in various religious texts, about the nature of sexual sin, right? The problems with sexual union with the wrong person. The parents of the now don't know how to explain this to their young child. They only explain sort of physical issues like, oh, this person looks like a crazy person. Don't talk to that person. Or, oh, don't kiss those types of people. Or, oh, don't try to work for jobs like this. Or go into the rite of passages deemed that are correct by the false leaders of the world that worship, the serpent and like things of the world. They don't educate them about the problems of sexual union, which is why they always fall in the goddamn pit. Jeez, which a lot of people don't get out of. I'm serious, because they're not looking for it. And if there's like attracts like, if you are of a certain caliber, if you're of a certain degree, you are going to hang and be around people of that certain degree. Let's continue. Reuben is still talking here. Besides all these, there is an eighth spirit of sleep, with which is created entrancement of man's nature and the image of death, right? With these spirits are mingled the spirits of error. The first, the spirit of fornication, dwelleth in the nature and the senses. The second, spirit of insatiateness in the belly. The third, spirit of fighting in the liver and the gall. The fourth is the spirit of fawning and trickery, that through over officiousness a man may be fair in seeming. The Bible is worded a very, very interestingly, very antiquated language. They use something before Old English. When he's describing the fourth spirit of fawning and trickery, he's talking about men that pretend to be, or men and women, I'm just talking about man. People that pretend to be a certain way, but in reality, they are not. They pretend to be moral. It's like the leaders of this world. They have money, they have cars, they seemingly they definitely have worldly success. It makes it seem as if they have some sort of spiritual and mental success, when in reality, they don't. They just are of things of the world. They don't know anything about if they know about the worlds above, they're definitely utilizing that information solely for world gain. Let's continue, man. The fifth is the spirit of arrogance, that man may be stirred up and become high-minded. Of course, the Bible talks about this a lot when people are successful, and then they become successful due to loyalty to the ways of the worlds above, and then they become successful in the world, and then they could discard these things because there's no need for them. Right? Let's continue. The sixth is the spirit of lying, in perdition and in jealousy, to feign words and to conceal words from kindred and friends. It's the whole idea of lies. It's the whole idea of the opposite of honesty, which is one of the chief hydra heads of the dragon that leads this world, right? Lying, trickery, and intense fornication. It's crazy. The seventh is the spirit of injustice, of course, with which are theft, pilferings, that a man may work the desire of his heart. The Bible always talks about this. Out of the heart spews the horrors of the world, of the physical reality. Guard your heart, guard your mind, and focus on the worlds above, and you'll be okay. You know what I mean? It's not, the worst can't really befall you. And even so, this world is only temporary. Let's continue. For injustice, like, for injustice, I can't speak. I don't even have a lisp, and I can't even speak. We're gonna try this again. For injustice worketh together with the other spirits by means of craft. They ain't talking about carpenters. They're not talking about arts and crafts. They're not talking about drawing things. They're talking about witchcraft, the idea of using geomancy, divination, and the seeing of the future in order to manipulate the present and the people in the present, which goes alongside the spirit of lying. This is what people do just to be successful in this silly world where you're temporarily here, you're temporarily occupying. I just don't see the point of these things. Personally, me, Sombra del Piso, I really don't see the point of being completely licentious and just worshiping silly things that are founded in witchcraft. I just don't understand. I don't know why people do this. I really don't get it. I think, you know where it comes from? I think it comes from an insecurity, right? I think that people want to be worshiped. They want to be praised by the people around them and want to be actually acknowledged by the people around them. And so they do these things. It's very hard for individuals to stand alone in this place.